Hello, good day everyone. We are now in topics 8.1 and 8.2 of our basic calculus subject, which talk about higher order derivatives and chain rule. The competencies. At the end of this session, you are expected to compute the higher order derivatives of functions, illustrate the chain rule of differentiation, and solve problems using the chain rule. Okay, let us start first discussing higher order derivatives. Consider the function y equals f of x, the derivative y prime f prime of x, the derivative of y with respect to x, or dy over dx is called the first derivative of f with respect to x. The derivative of the first derivative is called the second derivative of f with respect to x and is denoted by this one: y double prime f double prime of x, the second derivative of y, the second derivative of y with respect to x, the second derivative of y with respect to x. And then the third derivative of f with respect to x is the derivative of the second derivative and is denoted by this one: y triple derivative, f triple derivative, the third derivative of y with respect to x, and this one. In general, the nth derivative of f with respect to x is the derivative of the n minus 1 derivative and is denoted by any of these following symbols. Okay. Okay, let us now try solving the first example. We are to find the fourth derivative of the function f of x equals x to the fifth minus 3x to the fourth plus 2x cubed minus x squared plus 4x. First thing to do is, in order to get the fourth derivative, we are going to find first the first derivative, which is the derivative of this function. So finding the first derivative, it should be the derivative first of x to the fifth, which is 5x to the fourth. Okay, next is the derivative of negative 3x to the fourth, and that would be negative 12x cubed. Next is the derivative of 2x cubed, that would be 6x squared. And the derivative of negative x squared is negative 2x. The derivative of 4x is positive 4. And the derivative of negative 10 is 0. So therefore, this is our first derivative of the function. Next is to find the second derivative of f of x. The second derivative of f of x should be the derivative of this. So therefore, it should be 20x cubed minus the derivative of this one is negative 36 x squared plus the derivative of this is 12x, and the derivative of this is negative 2, and the derivative of 4 is 0. Next is the third derivative of x, which is the derivative of the second derivative. So therefore the derivative of this is 60x squared. Derivative of negative 36x squared is negative 72x. And then the derivative of 12x is positive 12. Derivative of negative 2 is 0. And lastly, which is the fourth derivative of f of x is equal to derivative of 60x squared is 120x. Then the derivative of negative 72x is negative 72. And the derivative of 12 is 0. So therefore, the fourth derivative is equal to 120x minus 172. Okay? So let's proceed now to number 2. Number 2 is finding the first and second derivative of the given y equals quantity 3x squared minus 4 times quantity x squared minus 3x. Okay, so there are two cases might happen in this, in finding the first and second derivative. First is we are going to apply product rule. So to find the first derivative using the product rule, first we need to multiply 3x squared minus 4 times the derivative of this. So the derivative of this second quantity is 2x minus 3, right? Derivative ani and gani. And then plus the derivative ani first quantity is 6x, and the derivative of negative 4 is 0, so 6x na lamang, times copy the second derivative. Okay, diba? First quantity times second the first derivative of, or the derivative of the second quantity, and then derivatives of first quantity times second quantity. So simplifying, we have 3x squared times 2x is 6x cubed. Then 3x squared times negative 3 is negative 9x squared. Negative 4x times negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. Plus 6x times x squared is 6x cubed. Then 6x times negative 3x is negative 18x squared. Okay, so simplifying, we have now 6x cubed plus 6x cubed is 12x cubed. Then negative 9x squared plus negative 18x squared is negative 27x squared. Then copy down negative 8x plus 12. Okay, so this will be the first derivative. So to find the second derivative, it should be the derivative of this, and we have 12x cubed. The derivative of that is 36x squared. Then the derivative of negative 27x squared is negative 54x. And the derivative of negative 8x is negative 8. Okay, so therefore, this is the second derivative. Another way of finding the first derivative of the given is, pwede po si dyan natin i-simplify first, wherein you have to multiply first 3x squared times x squared, and that would be 3x to the fourth. Okay, then 3x squared times negative 3x squared is negative 9x cubed. Then negative 4 times x squared is negative 4x squared. Then negative 4 times negative 3x is positive 12x. Okay, after simplifying, let us know the time that we are going to find the first derivative. So the first derivative would be 12x cubed. Then the second, the derivative of the second term is negative 27x squared. And the derivative of this is negative 8x. And the derivative of 12x is positive 12. See, we've got the same answer. And finding the second derivative, it should be the same graph. 36x squared minus 54x minus 8. Okay? Ana lang. What about the third one? So not sa takimar taas ang third one. So the third one is finding the second derivative of y with respect to x, wherein the given is y equals 3x plus 5 all over x squared plus 4. Okay. The only way we can find the second derivative for this is using the quotient rule twice. Okay? So, in finding the first derivative, diba ang quotient rule is denominator, which is x squared plus 4, times the derivative of the numerator, which is 3. Then, minus the derivative of the denominator, which is 2x, times the numerator, which is 3x plus 5, all over the square of the denominator. Okay, simplifying the numerator, we now have 3x squared plus 4, then minus 6x squared minus 10x all over the square of x squared plus 4 squared. And this will give us the answer, which is negative 3x squared minus 10x plus 4 all over the square of the denominator, which is x to the fourth plus 8x squared plus 16. So this is our first derivative. And then to find the second derivative, it should be the derivative of this. So the second derivative would be derivative of the numerator times denominator. So, pwede pong denominator common first plus 8x squared plus 16 times the derivative of the numerator, which is negative 6x minus 10 minus the numerator, which is negative 3x squared minus 10x plus 4 times the derivative of the denominator, which is 4x cubed plus 16x all over the square of x to the fourth plus 8x squared plus 16. Okay. Simplifying the numerator, it should be a negative 6x to the fifth, then minus 48x cubed, then minus 96x. Okay, and then negative 10 times x to the fourth is negative 10x to the fourth, then negative 10 times 8x squared is negative 80x squared, and next is negative 160. Okay, next is the negative of quantity. Negative 3x squared times 4x cubed is negative 12x to the fifth. Then we have 16 times 3 is negative 48x cubed. Then we have 4 times negative 10 is negative 40x to the fourth. Then 4x cubed times 4 is positive 16x cubed. And then next is we have 16 times negative 3 is negative 48x squared, no, x cubed. Then 16 times negative 10 is negative 160x squared. And then last one is 16 times 4 is yan pa ha. kadali. Okay, marag na iwa na. Pwede mo, o dire, dira. Pakay mo may narong din hirapita. This would be 12. 12 ni. And this will be 12. Ato sa nang korikon. Ginawa. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 4 is positive 12 na dapat. Okay. And then, so, mana na. Okay, so derivative to plus 12 pa na. Okay, so ano problema dere no? Dere is naantay positive 12. Okay, so Ramiro is 12, negative 40, Kani is 48. Okay, 48 ni. Kani 40. Sa hapon mas bunin hidapita. Okay. We have negative 12x to the fifth, then negative 40 x to the fourth, then 4 times 12 is 48 plus 48 x cubed. 12x to the fifth na negative 40x cubed plus 48. Then 16 times 3 is negative 48 x cubed. Then negative 160 x squared. And then 12 times 6 is 192 plus 192x over the square of the denominator, or the square of x to the fourth plus 8x squared plus 16 squared. Okay, so simplifying in this part here, we can combine negative 10x to the fourth, 48 naman minus 48 x to the third minus 80 x squared, and then minus 96 x minus 160. Okay, we have negative 80x squared, and then carry the rate is plus, kasi combine minus quantity, simplify yun nato. 160, then mo zero na ni. So plus 12x to the fifth plus 40 x to the fourth, then plus 160x squared minus 192x over the denominator of x to the fourth plus 8x squared plus 16. Then combining similar terms, we have negative 6 plus 12x to the fifth is 6x to the fifth. Then negative 10 plus 40 is, we have positive 30x to the fourth. Negative 48, kauban, copy na siya, x cubed. Then negative 80x squared plus 160x is positive 80x squared. And then 192 minus 96 is negative 96 plus negative 192. That would be equal to negative 288x, and then copy down negative 160 all over x to the fourth plus 8x squared plus 16. Okay, so this will be the second derivative of the given. Okay, next is to find the third derivative of the given function. G of x is equal to negative 4x squared e to the x plus 5x e to the x minus 10 e to the x. Okay, so to find the third derivative, we are going to find first the first derivative and the second derivative of the given. So we have g of x is equal to negative 4x squared e to the x plus 5x e to the x minus 10 e to the x. Okay, to find the first derivative, we need to find the derivative of each term. So the derivative of the first term is, since product man product rule atong gamitan, derivative sa second times first. So 4x squared e to the x plus derivative ani, which is negative 8x times e to the x. Okay, so kaning duha is derivative ani, plus 5x times derivative sa e to the x is e to the x. Then derivative sa 5x is 5 times e to the x. Then minus 10 times the derivative of e to the x is e to the x. Then minus e to the x times 0. Okay, so meaning 0 na ni. Simplifying further, the first derivative would be negative 4x squared e to the x minus these two can be combined together, so we have 3x e to the x. Then these two also can be combined together, which is negative 5e to the x. So therefore, the first derivative can be simplified to taking out the e to the x, and that's why we have negative 4x squared minus 3x minus 5. This is the first derivative of g. Next is to find the derivative of this, to find the second derivative. So applying the product rule, e to the x times the derivative of this, which is negative 8x minus 3, and derivative of negative 5 is 0. And then plus e to the derivative ani is e to the x times negative 4x squared minus 3x minus 5. Okay, so money copy, and then derivative ani is e to the x, then copy. So simplifying, we have negative 8x e to the x minus 3 e to the x. Then we have negative 4x squared e to the x, then minus 3x e to the x minus 5 e to the x. Then simplifying, we have negative 4x squared e to the x, and then negative 8 and negative 3 is negative 11x e to the x. Then negative 3 or negative 5 is negative 8 e to the x, in which we can factor the e to the x out. We have negative 4x squared minus 11x minus 8. Okay, lastly, to find the third derivative of g of x is copy e to the x, then get the derivative of the quantity. We have negative 8x, then derivative ani is negative 11 plus derivative of e to the x is e to the x, then copy negative 4x squared minus 11x minus 8. Then distributing, we have negative 8x e to the x minus 11 e to the x minus 4x squared e to the x, and this is negative 11 e to the x. No. Minus 11x e to the x and minus 8 e to the x. Okay, then combining, we have negative 4x squared e to the x. This 2 can be negative 8 and negative 11 is equal to negative 19 x e to the x. Then negative 11 and negative 8 is negative 19 e to the x, wherein we can factor out e to the x because it's common. So we have e to the x quantity 4x squared minus 19x minus 19. Okay, so that's the third derivative of the function g of x. Okay, lastly, we have number 5 is find the derivative. If f of x is e to the x sine of x minus 3 e to the x cosine x, find f to the derivative, the fifth derivative of f of x. Okay, so taas kami. So we have f of x is equal to e to the x sine x minus 3 e to the x cosine x. So to find the first derivative of f of x, it should be the derivative of every term. So to find the derivative of this, copy a to the x, then derivative of sine, which is cosine x, then plus derivative sa e to the x is e to the x, copy sine x. Okay, then plus or minus pa di ko, minus 3 times quantity kani atong kuhaan ha, way labot ang 3 atong gawas. So derivative na copy e to the x, derivative ni cosine is negative sine, then plus derivative ni e to the x is e to the x, then copy cosine x. Okay, so we have e to the x cosine x plus e to the x sine x. Then distribute, we have positive 3 e to the x sine x, then negative 3 e to the x cosine x equals combining si negative positive e to the x sine x plus 3 e to the x sine x, that would be 4 e to the x sine x, whereas ang e to the x cosine x or negative 3 e to the x cosine x, that would be negative 2 e to the x cosine x. Okay, So, mauna siya ang first derivative. Okay, next is finding the second derivative of x, which is derivative ani times kani. Or pwede po copy 4e to the x times derivative sa sine is cosine x plus derivative ni 4e to the x is e to the x times ating pabi marami masadyo magatong para di ibog no atos na i-factor daan kaya ron nga sadyo ra. Okay, we have a to the x quantity 4 sine x minus 2 cosine x. Okay, so to find the second derivative of f of x is derivative ani e to the x derivative ani, which is copy 4 times derivative sa sine is cosine. Then, maura no, kay derivative na pod ni 4 kay 0 man times sine. So, 0 na. Ito pa mahimo ng 0 sine x. Okay. O, di na naman na ito isuwat ng 0 kaya aron na nagamay atong space. Then, minus 2 times derivative sa cosine, which is negative sine. And then, cosine times derivative nito is 0 na po. Then, plus no. Derivative ni e to the x is e to the x e to the x times copy 4 sine x minus 2 cosine x. Okay, so therefore we have 4 cosine x e to the x plus 2 sine x e to the x, then plus 4 e to the x, no, 4 sine x e to the x, then minus 2 cosine x e to the x, wherein we can combine 4 cosine minus 2 is 2 cosine x e to the x, then kanipod 2 sine plus 4 sine is positive 6 sine x e to the x. Okay, which is we can factor out e to the x quantity 2 cosine x plus 6 sine x. Okay. Then next is find the third derivative. So the third derivative is copy e to the x times the derivative of 2 cosine x is 2 times negative sine x. Then plus 0 naman ang derivative sa 2 times cosine. Then we have 6 times the derivative of sine of x is cosine x. Then, ang derivative sa 6 times sine x is 0 man. Then, plus derivative na e to the x times 2 cosine x plus 6 sine x. And this will be equal to negative 2 sine x e to the x plus 6 cosine x e to the x plus 2 cosine x e to the x plus 6 sine x e to the x. Okay. Then combining na pod, we have 6 plus 2 is 8 cosine e to the x, cosine x e to the x. Then negative 2 plus 6 is positive 4 sine x e to the x, in which we can factor out e to the x, and that's why we have 8 cosine x plus 4 sine x. The third derivative of f of x would be equal to derivative aning quantity is e to the x times 8 negative sine x plus 4 cosine x. Derivative sa sine. 0 na basta 1. Then plus derivative sa e to the x is e to the x times 8 cosine x plus 4 sine x. So, pwede ka ito namin i-delete siguro. Negative 8 o positive 4. At i-factor out daan ng e to the x. Okay ra? So, negative 8 o positive 4 is negative 4 sine x. Then 4 over 8 is positive 12 cosine x. Okay. So the fourth derivative of f of x is e to the x times quantity negative 4 sine x plus 12 cosine x. And lastly, the fifth derivative of f of x is e to the x times derivative ani, which is negative 4 cosine x plus 12 times negative sine x plus e to the x times negative 4 sine x plus 12 cosine x. And we have e to the x quantity negative 4 plus 12 is 8 cosine x. And this is negative 12 plus negative 4 is negative 16 sine x. So therefore, mauna ni ang the fifth derivative of the given. Okay, so since inabot naman tag 50 minutes na siya ang atong na-discuss kung ano no kanang higher order derivative. So, mo stop na lamang ta dire, then I will make another video for the the chain rule kay taas na pud kaadyo magtantag 1 hour kapin ug ato nang ikuan. So, thank you para sa kani. Thank you so much for listening. I do hope you are learning. So if you have some question, just PM me anytime. Okay? Bye-bye.